The room is quiet tonight, more quiet than usual. The walls hold a gentle stillness, and the air feels soft against my skin, as if the world outside has already slipped into sleep. A single candle flickers on the low table beside me, its small flame casting a warm glow that does not reach the corners of the room. The light moves gently, swaying with currents of air I cannot feel, and it paints soft shadows on the wall that shift and settle without urgency. I sit in the old armchair, the one with the deep cushions that seem to hold me without effort, and I look across the room to where the mirror stands. It is an antique mirror, tall and framed in dark wood that has been smoothed by time. The frame is carved with delicate patterns, vines and leaves that wind around the edges, their details softened by years of gentle handling. The glass itself is slightly clouded, silvered at the edges where age has touched it, and it reflects the candlelight in a way that makes the room seem softer, gentler, as though I am looking at a place that exists only in memory. I have looked at this mirror many times before, on many quiet evenings like this one, but tonight it seems different. Tonight the surface does not look quite solid. It shimmers faintly, catching the candlelight and holding it, reflecting it back in a way that makes the glass seem almost liquid, like water under moonlight, like a pond that has not been disturbed for many hours. I sit for a long time, simply looking at the mirror, watching the way the candlelight plays across its surface. The flame flickers and the light shifts, and the mirror seems to breathe with it, expanding and contracting in rhythm with the small, dancing fire. The room around me is very still, and I can hear the soft settling of the house, the quiet creaks and whispers that old buildings make in the night. There is no wind outside, no sound of rain or rustling leaves, only the deep, comfortable silence of a world at rest. The silence wraps around me like a familiar blanket, and I sink deeper into the armchair, feeling the weight of the day slowly releasing from my shoulders, from my back, from every part of me that has been holding tension. The armchair holds me perfectly, its cushions conforming to my body, and I feel the softness supporting me in all the right places. My head rests against the worn fabric, and I can smell the faint scent of old books and dust, a comforting smell that speaks of time and patience. The candle continues to flicker, and I watch the shadows dance on the wall, their movements slow and predictable, never sudden, never jarring. The shadows are like gentle companions, keeping me company in the quiet room. After a time I stand slowly, feeling the weight of the day settle into my limbs. My body feels heavy, but not unpleasantly so, as though I am wrapped in something warm and soft that holds me gently. I take a breath, slow and steady, and I walk toward the mirror. My footsteps are quiet on the wooden floor, and the sound they make is muffled, distant, as though I am already halfway into another place. The floorboards do not creak beneath my weight. They simply accept me, holding me as I move across the room. Each step feels deliberate, measured, and I am aware of the coolness of the floor through my feet, the slight give of the old wood, the way the space between me and the mirror diminishes with each movement forward. As I come closer to the mirror, I see my reflection looking back at me, calm and still. The candlelight behind me creates a soft halo around my form, and my face is half in shadow, half in gentle light. I look at myself for a moment, observing the quiet expression, the relaxed shoulders, the slow rise and fall of my chest as I breathe. There is no tension here, no urgency, only a gentle curiosity about what might lie beyond this silvered surface. My reflection looks back at me with the same calm acceptance, as though it too is waiting, ready for whatever comes next. I reach out one hand toward the glass, extending my fingers slowly, deliberately. The air between my hand and the mirror feels cool, and I can sense the faint pull of something beyond the surface, something that invites without insisting. My fingertips touch the glass, and the surface is cool beneath them, but it does not feel hard. It yields just slightly, like the surface of a pool, and I press my hand forward a little more. The glass ripples gently, and I feel a softness pulling at my fingers, a gentle invitation that asks nothing but offers everything. The sensation is strange but not uncomfortable, like touching cool water that has somehow become solid enough to hold shape while remaining fluid enough to move. I take another breath, slow and steady, filling my lungs with the quiet air of the room, and I step forward. The room around me begins to fade, dissolving into a shimmer of soft, pearlescent light that wraps itself around me like a mist. The light is neither bright nor dim. It simply is, surrounding me, holding me, carrying me forward. I feel no fear, only a quiet curiosity, and I let myself move forward into the light. The edges of the room blur and soften, the straight lines of the walls becoming curves, the solid floor becoming something less certain, more fluid. The candle's glow fades into a pale luminescence that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, and I close my eyes for a moment, surrendering to the sensation of movement without moving, of traveling without taking steps. The transition is seamless, effortless. I feel myself moving through layers of something that is neither air nor water, something that exists between states, between places. The pearlescent light grows brighter, softer, warmer, and I feel it wrap around me completely, erasing the boundaries of the room, erasing the memory of walls and floors and the familiar space I have just left behind. There is a moment of complete suspension, where I am nowhere and everywhere at once, and then, gently, gradually, the light begins to fade, and I feel solid ground beneath my feet once more. When I open my eyes again, I am somewhere else entirely. I am standing in a meadow wide and open, stretching out in all directions, beneath a sky that is neither day nor night. The transition has been so gentle, so seamless, that I cannot recall the exact moment when the room disappeared and this place appeared. It is as though I have always been here, or as though this place has always been waiting for me, patient and still. The grass beneath my feet is soft, almost velvet-like, and it hums faintly, a low and gentle sound that seems to rise from the earth itself. The hum is not quite a note, not quite a song, but something in between, a vibration that I can feel through the soles of my feet, traveling up through my legs, settling into my bones. The air here is cool, but not cold, and it carries with it the scent of night-blooming jasmine and sweet, dark earth. I take a slow breath, and the scent fills my lungs, calming and familiar, though I cannot remember ever having been in a place exactly like this before. The air feels thick somehow, not heavy, but substantial, as though it has weight and presence. It wraps around me like a gentle blanket, and I feel myself relaxing into it, letting it hold me. The coolness of the air touches my face, my hands, the exposed parts of my skin, and it feels refreshing, revitalizing, as though it is washing away the last traces of the world I left behind. The colors here are muted, brushed with the softest hues of lavender and pale indigo. The sky above is a deep, velvety twilight, neither fully dark nor touched by any hint of dawn. It stretches wide and vast, an endless expanse that seems to go on forever in all directions. The flowers that grow in scattered clusters throughout the meadow do not bloom with haste. They unfold slowly, their petals opening in a rhythm that is almost like breathing, gentle and steady. I watch one bloom near my feet, a small flower with pale purple petals that curl gently outward. Each petal opens slowly, revealing the soft center of the flower, and as it opens, it releases a faint sweetness into the air, a scent that mingles with the jasmine and the earth. There is no hurry here, no urgency. Everything moves in its own time, slow and deliberate, and I feel myself beginning to match that rhythm, my own breathing slowing, my own movements becoming more measured and calm. I stand for a long time simply observing the meadow, taking in the gentle colors, the soft scents, the low hum of the grass beneath my feet. The world I came from feels very far away now, distant and indistinct, like something I might have dreamed once, long ago. The meadow feels more real, more present than anything I can remember, and I let myself sink into that reality, accepting it completely. Above me the sky is dotted with stars. They do not twinkle sharply the way stars sometimes do in the world I know. Instead, they pulse softly, gently, as though they too are breathing in time with the meadow. They seem to blink in harmony with the tall, silver-tipped reeds that sway at the edges of my vision, their movements slow and rhythmic, like the rise and fall of gentle waves. I look up at the stars for a long moment, feeling the quiet weight of the sky above me, and I let my gaze settle there, not focusing on any one star, just taking in the soft, endless expanse. The stars are countless, scattered across the velvet sky like grains of sand on a dark shore, and they fill the night with their gentle, pulsing light. I begin to walk, though I am not sure where I am going, or if there is anywhere to go at all. There is a path beneath my feet, narrow and soft, made of moss that feels like velvet. The moss is cool and slightly damp, and it cushions each step I take, yielding gently beneath my weight, and then rising again after I have passed. The path winds gently through the meadow, curving around clusters of flowers and tall grasses, and I follow it without question, without thought. There is something about the path that feels right, that feels like the only direction worth taking, and I trust in it completely. The moss is so soft that I can barely feel my footsteps, and I move quietly, almost silently, through the meadow. Each step I take is quiet, almost soundless. The moss absorbs the sound of my footfalls, and the air absorbs any other noise I might make. I can hear my own breathing, slow and steady, and I can hear the low hum of the grass and the soft rustle of leaves in the distance, but nothing else. The silence here is not empty. It is full, rich with the quiet presence of the meadow itself, and I feel held by it, comforted by it. The silence feels alive as though it has a texture and a weight, and it wraps around me like a second skin. As I walk, I notice the sounds around me more clearly. There is the low hum of the grass, a continuous and soothing note that seems to resonate from the ground itself. vibrating through the air in a way that I can almost see as well as hear. There is the soft rustle of leaves in the distance, a sound like distant waves lapping at a shore, gentle and repetitive, coming and going in a slow, steady rhythm. Occasionally I hear a faint chime, delicate and clear, as though a small bell has been rung somewhere far away. The sound comes and goes, never insistent, always soft, and I find myself listening for it, waiting for the next quiet note to drift through the air. When it comes, it seems to resonate with something inside me, a gentle reminder of peace, of stillness, of the quiet beauty of this place. The meadow seems to have no end. I walk for a long time, or perhaps only a short time. It is difficult to tell here, where everything moves so slowly, where time itself seems to have softened and stretched. The path continues to wind ahead of me, always gentle, always clear, and I follow it without thought, without question. I pass clusters of flowers that open and close in their slow rhythm, their petals catching the faint light from the stars above. Some flowers are just beginning to open, their petals still curled tightly, while others are fully open, their centers exposed and glowing faintly in the dim light. Still others are beginning to close, their petals folding inward slowly, preparing for rest. I pass tall grasses that bend and sway, their silver tips catching the light like threads of moonlight woven into the landscape. The grasses move even though there is no wind, or at least no wind that I can feel. They sway in their own rhythm, slow and hypnotic, and I watch them as I walk, observing the way they move together, as though they are all part of a single living tapestry. The tips of the grasses glimmer and shine, and when they move, they create patterns of light and shadow that shift and flow across the meadow. The patterns are beautiful, mesmerizing, and I find myself watching them, letting my gaze follow the movements of the grasses as they sway and bend. At one point I come to a place where the path widens slightly, opening into a small clearing. In the center of the clearing there is a low stone bench, smooth and cool to the touch. The bench is old, weathered by time, but it is solid and inviting. I approach it slowly, running my hand along its surface, feeling the coolness of the stone beneath my palm. The stone is smooth, polished by years of wind and rain and perhaps by the hands of others who have sat here before me, though I see no sign of anyone else in this quiet place. The bench feels like it has been here for a very long time, waiting patiently for someone to come and sit upon it. I sit down on the bench, feeling the stone's coolness through my clothes, and I rest for a while. The meadow continues to hum around me, the grass singing its low, continuous note, the leaves rustling in their distant, wave-like rhythm. I close my eyes and listen, letting the sounds wash over me, letting them settle into my thoughts until there is nothing else, only the gentle music of this quiet place. The hum of the grass vibrates through the bench, and I can feel it in my body, a gentle resonance that seems to align with my own heartbeat, slowing it, calming it. My breathing slows even further, and I feel my chest rise and fall in time with the hum, in time with the rustle of the leaves, in time with the slow pulse of the meadow itself. I sit for a long time, though I do not measure it. There is no need to measure time here, no need to count the minutes or the hours. There is only the quiet, the stillness, the gentle rhythm of the meadow. I let my thoughts drift slow and formless, like clouds moving across a distant horizon. I do not hold on to them. I let them pass one after another until there is only the quiet, the stillness, the gentle presence of this place. Thoughts come fragments of memories, half-formed ideas, wordless impressions, and I observe them without judgment, without attachment, simply letting them move through me, like the breeze moves through the grass. Each thought is like a leaf floating on a stream, appearing for a moment and then disappearing, carried away by the current. When I open my eyes again, the sky seems a little darker, though the stars remain soft and constant. The flowers nearby have shifted. Some that were open before are now closed, and others that were closed have begun to open. I watch them for a while, observing the slow, patient way they move. There is something deeply calming in their rhythm, something that asks nothing of me, that simply is. Each flower moves at its own pace, unrushed, unhurried, and I find myself mirroring that patience, that gentle acceptance of time. The flowers do not struggle or strain. They simply open and close in their natural rhythm, and there is a profound peace in that simplicity. Eventually I stand again, feeling the coolness of the stone leave my body, replaced by the soft warmth of movement. I continue along the path, my steps even slower now, more deliberate, as though I am learning to match the pace of the meadow itself. The air feels thicker somehow, not heavy, but soft, like a gentle blanket that wraps around me as I move. I breathe it in, and it fills my lungs with its cool sweetness, and I exhale slowly, letting the breath carry away any lingering thoughts, any remnants of the world I left behind. Each breath feels like a cleansing, a release, and I feel lighter with each exhalation, as though I am shedding layers of concern and worry that I did not even know I was carrying. The path begins to curve more gently now, leading me toward a grove of tall, slender trees. Their trunks are pale, almost white, and they stand like pillars of moonlight rising from the earth. The bark is smooth and cool, and as I draw closer, I can see that it has a faint pearlescent quality, reflecting the starlight in subtle, shifting patterns. The leaves of the trees are a soft, silvery green, delicate and feather-like, and they hang in loose clusters from branches that reach upward in slow, graceful arcs. The trees look ancient and wise, as though they have been standing here for countless years, watching over the meadow with silent patience. As I step beneath the canopy of the trees, the light around me shifts, becoming even softer, filtered through the delicate leaves that hang above. The trees do not rustle loudly. They whisper, a faint and constant sound that blends with the hum of the grass and the rustle of distant leaves. The whisper is soothing, almost like a lullaby, and I feel myself relaxing even further as I walk slowly between the pale trunks. I reach out and trail my hand along the smooth bark of one tree, feeling its coolness beneath my palm, feeling the faint texture of the pearlescent surface. The bark is smooth but not slippery, and it feels alive beneath my touch, as though the tree is aware of my presence and is welcoming me. The grove is quiet, even quieter than the meadow. The trees stand in loose clusters, their branches reaching upward in slow, graceful arcs, creating a canopy that filters the starlight into a soft, diffused glow. Some of the branches are hung with small, luminous blossoms that glow faintly, like captured starlight. The blossoms are pale and delicate, their petals almost translucent, and they emit a soft, silvery light that illuminates the space beneath the trees. I stop to look at one, leaning in close, and I see that the petals are indeed translucent, glowing from within with a gentle radiance. The blossom does not move, but I can feel a faint warmth radiating from it, gentle and comforting, like the warmth of a distant hearth. I stand beneath the blossom for a long time, simply looking at it, observing the way the light moves within the petals, the way it pulses gently, almost imperceptibly. The blossom seems to breathe with the same rhythm as the meadow, the same rhythm as the stars above, and I find myself breathing in time with it, my chest rising and falling in the same gentle cadence. The warmth from the blossom spreads through me, settling into my chest, and I feel a deep sense of peace, of contentment, of belonging. The blossom is beautiful in a way that is simple and pure, and I stand beneath it, bathed in its gentle light, feeling completely at peace. I continue through the grove, and the path beneath my feet becomes even softer, covered now with fallen petals and leaves that cushion each step. The petals are cool and slightly damp, and they release a faint fragrance as I step on them, a scent that is both sweet and faintly herbal, calming and grounding. The air is filled with the scent of the luminous blossoms, and I breathe it in deeply, letting it settle into my thoughts, into my body, until there is nothing else. The scent seems to fill every part of me, calming my mind, slowing my thoughts, until I am simply here, simply present, with no need to think of anything beyond this moment. The trees stand silent and patient, and as I walk among them, I notice the small details that make each one unique. Some have branches that curve more dramatically than others. Some have more blossoms hanging from their limbs, and some have small, delicate vines growing up their trunks. The vines are thin and pale, almost white, and they wind around the trunks in gentle spirals, adding to the sense of organic harmony in the grove. I pause to touch one of these vines, feeling its smooth, cool surface, and I trace its path up the trunk with my fingers, following the spiral as it winds upward. As I walk, I notice that the trees are spaced farther apart now, and the meadow is beginning to open up again beyond them. I emerge from the grove slowly, stepping back into the soft twilight of the open field. The transition is gentle, seamless, and I barely notice the moment when the trees end and the meadow begins again. The sky above is still vast and dark, the stars still pulsing their gentle rhythm, and the meadow stretches out before me once more, endless and serene. The openness of the meadow feels welcoming after the enclosed space of the grove, and I breathe deeply, taking in the cool night air. I follow the path as it winds through the grass, and I notice now that there are small pools of water scattered throughout the meadow. They are perfectly round, their surfaces still and clear, reflecting the stars above like mirrors. The pools are shallow, I think, though it is difficult to tell from where I stand. The water is dark, the color of midnight, and it holds the light of the stars in its depths, reflecting them back with perfect clarity. Each pool is like a small window into the sky, a piece of the heavens brought down to earth. I approach one of these pools and kneel beside it, feeling the cool moss beneath my knees. I look down into the water, and I see the sky mirrored there, vast and deep. The stars pulse in the reflection just as they pulse above, and for a moment I cannot tell which is real and which is reflection. The water is perfectly still, undisturbed by even the faintest breeze, and it holds the image of the sky with such clarity that it seems I could reach down and touch the stars themselves. The reflection is so perfect, so complete, that it feels as though the pool contains its own sky, its own universe. I reach out one hand and touch the surface of the water. It is cool, almost silky, and when my fingers break the surface, the ripples spread slowly, gently, moving outward in perfect circles. The reflection of the stars fragments and reforms as the ripples pass, creating patterns of light and shadow that shift and dance across the surface. I watch the ripples until they fade, and the water becomes still again, and I see the sky reflected once more, calm and quiet. I see my own reflection, too, my face looking back at me from the dark water, serene and peaceful. The reflection shows me as I am in this moment, calm, relaxed, at peace, and I barely recognize myself. So different do I look from the person who stood in the candlelit room not long ago. I sit beside the pool for a while, listening to the hum of the meadow, the rustle of the leaves, the faint chime that sounds occasionally in the distance. The sounds blend together, creating a gentle harmony that fills the night, and I let myself sink into it, letting it surround me, hold me, carry me. The water reflects the stars, and the stars pulse their gentle rhythm, and the meadow hums its low, continuous note, and I am simply here, simply present, with no need for anything beyond this moment. Time seems to stop, or perhaps it simply ceases to matter, and I exist in a space that is eternal and peaceful. I notice small details around the pool that I had not seen before. There are tiny stones arranged around the edge, smooth and rounded, as though they have been placed there by some gentle hand. The stones are pale, almost white, and they glow faintly in the starlight. Between the stones, small flowers grow, their petals barely larger than my fingernail, and they release a delicate fragrance that mingles with the scent of the water and the earth. I lean closer and breathe in the scent, and it is sweet and clean, like the smell of rain on stone. The path continues beyond the pool, and after a time I stand and follow it again. My movements are slower now, each step measured and deliberate, and I find that I am not thinking about where the path leads, or what I might find. I am simply walking, simply being here in this quiet place, and that is enough. The path winds gently through the meadow, curving around clusters of flowers and tall grasses, and I follow it without thought, trusting in its direction. The moss is soft beneath my feet, and each step feels like a meditation, a practice in being present. The meadow begins to change subtly as I continue. The flowers become smaller, more delicate, their colors even softer. Some are so pale they are almost white, glowing faintly in the dim light. The grasses grow lower and the path widens, becoming a broad, gentle trail of soft moss and scattered petals. The air grows cooler still, and I can feel a faint breeze now, barely more than a whisper, brushing against my skin and stirring the edges of my clothes. The breeze carries with it the scent of water and earth, clean and fresh, and I breathe it in, letting it fill my lungs, letting it cool me from within. I come to a place where the path leads to a low hill, a gentle rise in the landscape. The hill is not steep, and it curves upward in a slow, gradual slope that invites rather than challenges. I began to climb it slowly, feeling the soft moss give beneath my feet with each step. The climb is easy, effortless, and I do not feel any strain or effort. My breathing remains slow and steady, and I move with the same measured pace I have maintained throughout my journey. As I climb, I notice that the flowers here are different again. They are tiny, barely larger than the tip of my finger, and they grow in dense clusters along the slope. Their petals are pale blue, almost silver, and they glow faintly, creating a soft carpet of light that guides my way. The tiny flowers seem to form patterns along the hillside, swirling designs that flow naturally across the slope. I follow these patterns with my eyes as I climb, and they lead me upward in a gentle, spiraling path. The flowers release a faint fragrance as I pass, something light and airy, like the scent of clouds or morning mist. The fragrance is so subtle that I almost miss it, but once I notice it, it becomes a constant presence, adding another layer to the sensory richness of this place. As I reach the top of the hill, I pause and look around. From this vantage I can see the meadow stretching out in all directions, a vast expanse of soft colors and gentle movement. The pools of water glimmer faintly, scattered across the landscape like fallen stars. The trees of the grove stand like pale sentinels in the distance, their luminous blossoms glowing softly. The path winds through it all, a gentle ribbon of moss and petals that disappears into the distance, leading to places I cannot see, to destinations that remain unknown and unimportant. The view is breathtaking in its simplicity, in its quiet beauty, and I stand at the top of the hill, taking it all in. The view from the hill is beautiful, though beauty seems too small a word for what I am witnessing. It is more than beauty. It is peace, it is stillness, it is the quiet harmony of a world that exists outside of time, outside of urgency, outside of all the noise and chaos of the life I left behind. I stand at the top of the hill, looking out over the meadow, and I feel a deep sense of gratitude, though I cannot say what I am grateful for. Perhaps it is simply the gift of being here, of being allowed to witness this place, to walk through it, to be held by its gentle rhythm. The gratitude fills me warm and complete, and I let it settle in my chest, a quiet acknowledgment of this moment. I sit down on the top of the hill, feeling the cool grass beneath me, and I look up at the sky. The stars seem closer here, or perhaps I am simply more aware of them. They fill the sky with their soft, pulsing light, countless and endless, and I find myself breathing in time with them, my chest rising and falling in the same gentle cadence. The air is filled with the scent of jasmine and earth, sweet and grounding, and the sounds of the meadow, the hum, the rustle, the faint chime blend together into a soft, continuous music that fills the night. I lie back on the grass, letting my body settle into the earth, and I look up at the stars. There are so many, so vast, that I cannot count them, cannot even begin to comprehend their number. They fill the sky from horizon to horizon, a tapestry of light that seems to go on forever. I watch them, not focusing on any one star, just letting my gaze drift across the expanse above me. Some stars are brighter than others, pulsing with a slightly stronger light, while others are so faint they are barely visible, mere suggestions of light against the dark velvet of the sky. Each star has its own rhythm, its own pulse, and together they create a symphony of light that is both complex and simple, both varied and unified. The world feels very large and very still, and I feel small in a way that is comforting, not overwhelming. I am a small part of this vast, quiet place, a single point of awareness in an endless expanse, and that is exactly right. There is no need to be more than this, no need to occupy more space or make more noise. I am simply here, lying on a hilltop in a meadow that exists outside of time, and that is enough. The smallness I feel is not diminishing. It is liberating, freeing me from the need to be anything other than what I am in this moment. Time passes, though I do not mark it. The stars continue their slow pulse, the meadow continues its gentle hum, and I remain still, lying on the hilltop, breathing in the cool night air. My thoughts drift, slow and formless, like clouds moving across a distant horizon. I do not hold on to them. I let them pass, one after another, until there is only the quiet, the stillness, the gentle rhythm of the meadow around me. Thoughts come and go, memories, fragments of dreams, wordless impressions, and I observe them without attachment, letting them move through me like the breeze moves through the grass. Each thought is like a leaf floating on a stream, appearing for a moment and then disappearing, carried away by the current. I notice constellations in the sky that I do not recognize, patterns of stars that seem both familiar and strange. The patterns shift subtly as I watch, or perhaps my perception shifts, and I see new connections between the points of light. The stars seem to tell stories without words, ancient narratives written in light and space, and I lie beneath them, a silent witness to their eternal dance. Eventually I sit up slowly and I look around once more. The meadow is unchanged, still soft and serene, still humming its low, continuous note. The stars still pulse their gentle rhythm above, and the air is still cool and sweet with the scent of jasmine. The path continues down the other side of the hill, winding gently into the distance, and I stand and begin to follow it again. My steps are even slower now, each one deliberate and measured, and I feel the softness of the moss beneath my feet, the coolness of the air against my skin, the gentle weight of the night around me. The path leads me down from the hill and into another part of the meadow, where the flowers grow in loose, scattered clusters. These flowers are different from the ones I saw before. They are smaller, with pale, almost white petals that glow faintly in the dim light. They sway gently, even though the breeze is barely perceptible, and they release a scent that is soft and clean, like fresh linen dried in the sun, like the smell of morning dew on grass. The scent is delicate and fleeting, and I breathe it in as I walk, letting it fill my senses, letting it become part of the fabric of this place. I walk among these flowers, my hand brushing against their petals, feeling their delicate softness. The petals are cool and smooth, and they bend gently beneath my touch, yielding without breaking. The path winds gently through them, and I follow it without thought, trusting in its direction. The flowers seem to go on forever, a sea of pale, glowing blossoms that stretches out in all directions, and I feel as though I am walking through a field of stars that have fallen to the earth and taken root here, in this quiet place. The flowers create a landscape that is both familiar and otherworldly, both simple and profound. Among the white flowers I notice occasional splashes of the palest pink and lavender, colors so faint they might be imagined rather than seen. These touches of color add depth to the sea of white, creating subtle variations that keep the landscape from becoming monotonous. I kneel down to examine one of the pink flowers more closely, and I see that its petals are edged with the faintest silver, as though they have been touched by moonlight and the light has lingered there. I reach out and touch this silver-edged flower, and its petals feel even softer than the others, like touching silk or the wing of a moth. The flower seems to respond to my touch, its glow brightening just slightly, and I feel a warmth spreading from the point of contact, gentle and reassuring. I stay kneeling for a while, my finger resting lightly on the pedal, and I watch as the globe pulses in time with my heartbeat, creating a connection between us that feels both strange and completely natural. As I continue walking through the field of white flowers, I notice that they create small pathways between their clusters, natural corridors that seem to invite exploration. I choose one of these corridors and follow it, and I find that it leads me deeper into the field, winding gently between the densest concentrations of blooms. The flowers grow more thickly here, their stems close together, and they create a kind of soft walls on either side of the pathway, enclosing me in a tunnel of pale glowing petals. The tunnel of flowers is peaceful, almost womb-like in its enclosure, and I feel protected and held as I walk through it. The glow from the flowers creates a soft, diffused light that seems to come from everywhere at once, and I can see my breath in the cool air, small clouds of vapor that rise and dissipate slowly. The tunnel curves gently, never sharply, and I follow its curves without resistance, letting it guide me wherever it leads. After a time, the tunnel begins to open up again, widening gradually until I emerge back into the open field. The flowers here are sparser, more scattered, and I can see farther across the meadow. The change is so gradual that I barely notice it happening, but suddenly I am in open space again, and the sky seems even vaster than before, stretching out above me in all directions. The sky above is beginning to shift, though it does not grow brighter. Instead, it deepens, becoming a richer shade of indigo, darker and more velvety, and the stars seem to glow a little softer, a little warmer. The transition is so gradual that I barely notice it, but after a time I realize that the sky has changed, that the night has deepened, that the world around me has settled even further into stillness. The air grows cooler still, and I can feel the faintest hint of moisture on my skin, like the promise of dew settling on the grass. I breathe it in, and the coolness fills my lungs, calming and soothing, and I exhale slowly, releasing any tension I might still be holding. The path leads me to a low stone wall, old and weathered, covered in soft moss and small, creeping vines. The wall is not high, barely reaching my waist, and it curves gently, following the contours of the land. The stones are rough and irregular, fitted together without mortar, and they are cool to the touch. I place my hand on the wall, feeling the coolness of the stone beneath the moss, and I walk alongside it for a time, following its gentle curve. The moss is thick and soft, and the vines have small leaves that rustle quietly as I brush past them. The wall feels ancient, as though it has been here for centuries, marking some boundary that has long since lost its meaning. Beyond the wall, the meadow continues, but there are fewer flowers here, and the grass grows taller. The reeds I saw earlier are more numerous now, their silver tips swaying in a slow, steady rhythm. The sound they make is soft, a gentle rustling that blends with the other sounds of the meadow, and I find myself listening to it, letting it fill my awareness. The reeds move together, creating patterns of movement that ripple across the landscape, and I watch them for a long time, observing the way they bend and sway, the way they catch the faint light from the stars. The movement of the reeds is hypnotic, and I feel my thoughts slowing even further, aligning with their gentle rhythm. I move closer to the reeds, walking carefully through the taller grass. The reeds grow in dense clusters, their stems thick and strong, but flexible, bending gracefully in their constant gentle motion. I reach out and touch one of the silver tips, and it is cool and smooth, like polished metal, but soft to the touch. The reed bends beneath my fingers, and when I release it, it springs back into place, resuming its slow sway as though I had never touched it at all. I stand among the reeds for a long time, simply listening to them, watching them move. The sound they make is layered, complex. There is the whisper of the silver tips brushing against each other, the soft rustle of the stems moving against the grass, and beneath it all a faint musical tone, almost like wind chimes, but deeper, more resonant. The sound seems to come from the reeds themselves, as though they are singing, and I listen to their song, letting it wash over me, letting it become the only sound in the world. The wall continues for a long distance, and I follow it, my hand trailing along the moss-covered stones. Occasionally I find small gaps in the wall where stones have fallen away, and through these gaps I can see the meadow beyond, unchanged and eternal. The gaps are like windows, offering glimpses into the same peaceful landscape that surrounds me on all sides. As I walk along the wall, I notice small details I had missed before. There are tiny creatures living in the moss, insects so small they are barely visible, moving slowly through the soft green growth. I watch one of these creatures for a moment, observing its patient progress across a patch of moss, and I feel a kinship with it, this small life moving at its own slow pace through this quiet world. The wall begins to curve more sharply now, leading me in a wide arc across the meadow. I follow it faithfully, trusting in its direction, and after what feels like a long time, I find myself back near the area where I first encountered it. The wall has led me in a complete circle, returning me to familiar ground, and I realize that this journey has been circular, that there is no destination, only the walking itself. The path eventually leads me away from the wall, winding back into the open meadow. The grass here is very soft, almost feather-like, and it brushes against my legs as I walk. The sensation is gentle, tickling slightly, and it reminds me of walking through shallow water, of the way water caresses the skin. The air is filled with the scent of night-blooming jasmine again, stronger now, and I breathe it in deeply, letting it settle into my thoughts, calming and grounding me. The scent is sweet and heady, but not overwhelming, and it seems to wrap around me like an invisible blanket, warm and comforting. I come to another pool of water, larger than the others I have seen. It is perfectly round, as though it has been carved from the earth with great care, and its surface is still and clear, reflecting the stars above. The pool is surrounded by small flowers, pale and luminous, and they create a soft ring of light around the water. I kneel beside the pool, feeling the cool moss beneath my knees, and I look down into the water. The reflection is perfect, clear and undistorted, showing the sky mirrored in its depths. I can see the stars, countless and bright, and I can see the faint outline of my own face, looking back at me from the dark water. The pool is larger than I first thought, perhaps 10 feet across, and its edges are perfectly smooth, as though shaped by patient hands over countless years. The flowers that surround it are arranged in concentric circles, each ring a slightly different shade of pale luminescence, creating a gradient of soft light that draws the eye inward toward the still water at the center. I notice that some of the flowers are opening as I watch, their petals unfurling in that same slow, breathing rhythm that characterizes everything in this place. I reach out and touch the surface, and the water is cool and silky beneath my fingers. The ripples spread slowly, gently, moving outward in perfect circles, and the reflection fragments and reforms as they pass. I watch the ripples until they fade, and the water becomes still again, and I see the sky reflected once more, vast and deep. The pool seems to hold not just the reflection of the stars, but something deeper, something that I cannot quite name. It is as though the water is a window to another place, or perhaps to the heart of this place, to the quiet center from which all the peace and stillness flows. I lean closer to the water, studying my reflection more carefully. My face looks peaceful, more peaceful than I can remember seeing it in a long time. The lines of worry and tension that I carry in my everyday life seem to have softened, smoothed away by the gentle atmosphere of the meadow. My eyes look calm, clear, reflecting the starlight that surrounds me. I hardly recognize this peaceful version of myself, and I feel grateful to meet this part of me that exists beneath all the noise and hurry of ordinary life. I cup my hands and bring some of the water to my lips. It is cool and clean, tasting faintly of minerals and earth, and it seems to carry the essence of the meadow itself. I drink slowly, feeling the coolness spread through me, and I am refreshed in a way that goes beyond physical thirst. The water seems to nourish something deeper, something in my spirit, and I feel renewed. The coolness travels down through my chest, spreading outward through my limbs, and I feel it settling into every part of me, carrying with it a sense of clarity and peace. I remain kneeling by the pool for a long while, simply being present with the water, with my reflection, with the circle of luminous flowers. The stars continue to pulse above and below, in sky and water, and I feel suspended between them, held in a moment that seems to exist outside of the normal flow of time. The gentle sounds of the meadow continue around me, and I let them become a meditation, a focus for my quiet mind. I sit beside the pool for a long time, simply looking into it, watching the stars pulse in their slow, gentle rhythm, watching my own reflection shift and settle as the water moves. The sounds of the meadow continue around me, the hum of the grass, the rustle of the leaves, the faint chime in the distance, and I let them wash over me, let them fill the space where thoughts might otherwise gather. There is nothing to think about here, nothing to plan or worry over. There is only the quiet, the stillness, the gentle presence of this place. I feel completely at peace, completely present, and I let myself rest in that feeling. Eventually I stand, and the path continues beyond the pool, winding deeper into the meadow. I follow it once more, my steps very slow now, each one measured and deliberate, and I feel as though I am moving through a dream, or perhaps into one. The meadow around me is so quiet, so still, that I feel myself becoming part of that stillness, blending into the gentle rhythm of this place. My breathing has slowed to match the pulse of the stars. My heartbeat has aligned with the hum of the grass, and I am no longer separate from the meadow, but a part of it, woven into its fabric. The flowers become fewer as I continue, their clusters more sparse, and the grass grows shorter. The path widens even more, becoming a broad expanse of soft moss that feels like velvet beneath my feet. The air is very cool now, and I can feel the moisture settling on my skin, on my clothes, like a gentle mist. It does not soak through. It simply rests on the surface, cool and refreshing. I breathe it in, and it fills my lungs with its coolness, and I exhale slowly, letting the breath carry away any lingering thoughts, any remnants of anything that is not this place, this quiet. The sky above is very dark now, a deep, rich indigo that seems to hold all the quiet of the night within it. The stars are softer still, their light barely more than a faint glow, and they pulse in their slow, steady rhythm, like the heartbeat of the sky itself. I look up at them, and I feel my own breathing slow to match their rhythm, my chest rising and falling in the same gentle cadence. The stars are not just above me. They are all around me, reflected in the pools of water, woven into the light of the flowers, present in every part of this place. I notice that the ground beneath my feet is becoming softer still, almost cloud-like in its texture. Each step sinks slightly into the moss, and I feel cradled by the earth itself. The sensation is comforting, maternal, as though the meadow is embracing me with each footfall. I walk more slowly still, savoring this feeling of being held, of being supported by something gentle and eternal. I come to a place where the path begins to fade, the moss becoming thinner, blending into the grass. The boundary between path and meadow becomes indistinct, and I am no longer sure if I am following a path or simply walking through the open field. I continue to walk, though there is no clear direction now, just the soft, endless expanse of the meadow. The grass hums its low, continuous note, and the air is filled with the scent of jasmine and earth, and I walk slowly, without direction, without destination, simply moving through this quiet place. The horizon ahead of me is beginning to blur, becoming soft and indistinct, as though the meadow is fading into a gentle haze. The colors are even more muted now, barely more than shades of gray and lavender, and the world around me feels as though it is dissolving, becoming less solid, more like a memory or a dream. The boundaries between earth and sky, between solid and air, are softening, blending together, and I am walking through a space that is no longer quite real, or perhaps is more real than anything I have known before. I continue to walk, my steps slower and slower, each one an effort not of exertion, but of intention, as though I am learning to move in time with the meadow itself, to match the slow pulse of the stars, the gentle rhythm of the grass. The grass beneath my feet is very soft, and the air is very cool, and I can feel the gentle rhythm of this place all around me, and the hum of the grass, and the rustle of the leaves, and the slow pulse of the stars above, in the very air I breathe. The world behind me is fading, becoming distant and indistinct, and I do not look back. There is no need to look back, no reason to remember what came before. There is only the meadow ahead, soft and endless, and I walk into it slowly, letting it draw me forward, letting it hold me in its gentle rhythm. The past is gone, dissolved into the mist, and the future has not yet arrived. There is only this moment, this step, this breath, and that is enough. The air grows thicker, softer, wrapping around me like a blanket, and my steps become slower still, each one measured and deliberate. The scent of jasmine is very strong now, sweet and calming, and it fills my lungs with each breath, settling into my thoughts, into my body, until there is nothing else. The jasmine is everywhere, in the air, in the grass, in the very fabric of this place, and I breathe it in, letting it become part of me, letting it fill every space within me. The stars above are barely visible now, their light faint and distant, like memories of light rather than light itself. The sky is a deep, soft gray that seems to hold all the quiet of the night, all the peace and stillness of this endless meadow. The meadow is fading into a gentle haze, the colors blending together, becoming softer and softer, until there is only the quiet, the stillness, the gentle rhythm that holds me. I continue to walk, though I am not sure if I am moving at all. The grass hums its low, continuous note, and the air is cool and soft, and I breathe it in, letting it fill me, letting it carry me forward into the quiet, into the stillness, into the soft, endless expanse of the meadow. My footsteps make no sound now, or if they do, the sound is so quiet that it blends with the hum of the grass, with the rustle of the leaves, with all the other gentle sounds of this place. The world is very soft now, very quiet, and I feel myself becoming part of it, blending into the gentle rhythm, into the slow pulse of the stars, into the hum of the grass. There is no separation any more between myself and the meadow, between the walker and the walked upon. I am the meadow, and the meadow is me, and we move together in a slow, gentle dance that has no beginning and no end. There is no need for destination, no need for hurry. There is only the quiet, the stillness, the gentle rhythm that holds me, that cradles me, that carries me forward into the soft, endless night. The meadow stretches on forever, and I walk through it, or perhaps I simply exist within it, held by its softness, surrounded by its peace. I walk, and the meadow holds me, and the air is cool and soft, and the scent of jasmine fills my lungs, and the stars pulse their slow, gentle rhythm above, and the grass hums its low, continuous note, and I walk, and I breathe, and I am held, and I am still, and I am quiet, and I am here, in this soft, endless place, where there is no need for anything but the quiet, the stillness, the gentle rhythm that holds me, that cradles me, that carries me forward into the soft, endless night. The haze deepens around me, soft and gray, and the meadow becomes less distinct, more like a feeling than a place. I can still sense the grass beneath my feet, still smell the jasmine in the air, still hear the low hum and the distant rustle, but they are all blending together now, becoming one continuous sensation of peace and stillness. I am walking or floating or simply being, and it no longer matters which. The stars are almost gone now, their light so faint that I can barely see them, but I can still feel their presence, still sense their slow, gentle pulse. They are not above me anymore. They are within me, part of the rhythm of my own breathing, part of the slow beat of my own heart. The meadow and I are one, the stars and I are one, and there is no separation, no boundary, only the soft, endless quiet. I continue forward, if forward has any meaning in this place. The path is gone, or perhaps I have become the path. The meadow is gone, or perhaps I have become the meadow. There is only the soft, endless quiet, the gentle rhythm, the slow pulse of something vast and peaceful that holds me without holding, that carries me without carrying. And I walk, and I breathe, and I am still, and I am quiet, and I am here, and I am everywhere, and I am nowhere, and I am simply the quiet itself, the stillness itself, the soft, endless rhythm of peace that goes on and on and on, without end, without beginning, without anything but the gentle, endless now. The world dissolves completely into softness, into quiet, into a space that is no longer space, but simply presence, simply peace. I am the hum of the grass, the pulse of the stars, the scent of jasmine, the coolness of the air. I am the meadow, and the meadow is me, and we exist together in this soft, endless moment that stretches on forever. The boundaries between things continue to dissolve. I can no longer tell where my body ends and the meadow begins. The coolness of the air is not something I feel on my skin, but something I am, something that flows through me and around me without distinction. The scent of jasmine is not in the air, but in me, part of my being, inseparable from my thoughts and breath. I move through the haze, or perhaps the haze moves through me, and there is no difference between the two. Each step, if I am still taking steps, carries me deeper into this state of peaceful dissolution, deeper into the quiet that holds all things. The stars pulse their gentle rhythm, and I pulse with them. The grass hums its low note, and I hum with it. Everything is one continuous song, one seamless dance of peace and stillness. Time has lost all meaning here, if it ever had any. There is no before, no after, only this eternal present moment that contains all moments, that holds all of time within its gentle embrace. I have been here forever, and I have just arrived, and both of these things are true, and neither of them matters. The haze grows thicker, softer, until it is like being wrapped in layers of the finest silk, each layer adding to the sense of peace, of separation from all that came before. The world I left behind when I stepped through the mirror is now so distant that I can barely remember it, and even the effort to remember feels unnecessary, irrelevant to this moment of perfect peace. I float, I walk, I rest, I move all of these things at once, or none of them. The distinction no longer matters. There is only the gentle presence of this place, the soft embrace of the meadow, the endless quiet that holds me and nurtures me and asks nothing in return. And there is only the quiet, only the stillness, only the gentle rhythm that holds everything, that is everything, that carries on and on into the soft, endless night, into the eternal now, into the peace that has no beginning and no end, into the stillness that simply is and always has been and always will be. The jasmine scent grows even stronger, filling not just my senses but my entire being, becoming the very essence of peace, of rest, of letting go. I breathe it in, or perhaps I am it, and with each breath I sink deeper into the softness, deeper into the quiet, deeper into the endless peace that knows no boundary, no limit, no end. And I rest, finally, completely, surrendering to the gentle embrace of this place, to the soft rhythm that holds all things, to the peace that is both everywhere and nowhere, that is both everything and nothing, that simply is eternally, infinitely, perfectly still.